I had this whole plan to film a video. I had written down all the notes and I keep trying to do it and I keep stumbling over my words and not being able to do it. I'm just going to talk and I'm just going to say how I'm feeling and try and get the point across of what the video is meant to be. I'm really depressed at the moment. I'm not doing great. I was watching a show called Dave the other day. It's about Lil Dicky, the rapper. It's like kind of loosely based around his life. And there is a point when it's revealed that his dad has depression and Dave doesn't know this, didn't realise it, and he realises how much he didn't know about his parents. He says, "How long have you had it?" And his dad said, "Since forever." And I know that's silly because it's a sitcom about a rapper whose rap name is a dick joke. And like, but there's something about seeing it in art, seeing it in film and TV. I've always known that I'm depressed. I've always known that I struggle with it. I've been on 3 different types of antidepressants for fuck's sake, and now I'm on the 4th one that seems to be working, except recently. I've been to countless therapy sessions. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was about seeing some older guy on a TV show simply say the words "since forever," but it really like validated how I'm feeling. When I was younger, I was friends with this kid. He came from a troubled household. He had a hard life, but he introduced me to music. He introduced me to not like listening to music. He introduced me to playing music, and he was obsessed with Nirvana. And he used to play guitar, and he learned all of Kurt Cobain's songs. He was obsessed with Kurt Cobain, and we would sneak in to the music rooms at the end of a school day, and we would sit there, and we would just play. And he would teach me roughly how to play bass. I didn't understand how notes worked, but I would learn the bass to a Nirvana song, right? But then, as time went on, we drifted, we fell out, we both were clearly mentally ill, and we grew up and we didn't see each other again. But there was one time where we somehow, at the age of like 17 or 18, reconnected. We decided we were going to try and make music again because we used to when we were younger, so why wouldn't we try now that we're a bit older? We had a summer house in the garden. It's full of boxes and stuff now. We were trying to play music. I had recently gotten into the Smiths and I was showing him the Smiths, and he was like, I think he was pretending to like it. I can't remember like how we got onto the topic. I think I was just explaining how I was feeling a bit low. And he goes, "Yeah, but Sam, you're just a sad kid, and you've always been a sad kid." And like, I know he's right. And I feel like I've kind of internalized that a bit too much. I can't recall a time in my life when I wasn't sad, when like there wasn't some underlying current of just lowness. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just there's always been like this existential thing just lies there and like crusts. Even when I'm like happy and I'm enjoying myself doing something or I'm proud of something, there will always be this kind of thing within me going like, "Oh, but don't forget about this, don't forget you don't have this, don't forget this is happening, blah blah blah." But my point is, it wasn't until I saw that scene in Dave that I felt really truly validated. And I know that it's just a semi-sitcom drama about a rapper whose rap name is a dick joke, but it was a piece of art that made me realise that made me feel that. And I think that's really important, because only art, films, paintings, writing, anything that like evokes an emotion, somehow that kind of shit, even if it's like abstract or something, has a way of getting to you and speaking to you in a way that words just can't. Like words with a normal person in conversation just can't. I don't know, it's truly is magic. I've always said that art is magic ever since I heard Alan Moore say it. The reason I'm talking about this is mainly because I recently met up with someone. It was a date and it did not go well. It wasn't particularly great. Lovely person, but we just didn't click, and that's fine. But there was something that kept coming up, and I've noticed this with other people too, and I just thought I may as well talk about it, because I've noticed that there is this thing that happens when people say something like, "I don't know how this filmmaker is going to top so and so. I don't know how this writer is going to top their last work. I don't know how an artist is going to top their last piece of art, you know? And, you know, we got onto the topic of Batman, and we were talking about the DCU and how the DCU is going to bring in a new Batman. That's not going to be Robert Pattinson, but they kept saying, well, I don't know how they're going to top the Dark Knight. I don't know how they're going to do that. And then we also got onto the topic of Oppenheimer, and they were like, well, I don't know how they're going to... I don't know how Christopher Nolan's going to top Oppenheimer. Why do they need to top what they're doing? Why does an artist need to top something else that they've done? Can't they just create something? Can't they just make something and then the public can decide how they feel? But again, fuck what the public think in general. Just let the artist make what they want, and then the public can interpret things however they want. Like, that's the whole point, isn't it? Like, I don't judge how good one of my videos is based on how many views it's got. I judge it based on how I feel about it and how it's been done. I judge its commercial success on how many views it's got and like what's working and what's not. But if I'm happy with it, then at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But another thing that people keep bringing up every now and then is, but people on social media want this. People on social media think that, you know, and I'm really tapped into how people are thinking. And at the end of the day, who gives a fuck what people on social media want? I can't remember who said it, but the audience doesn't know what they want. You just have to give them the thing that you think is best. Fuck what public opinion is when it comes to art. But Sam, don't you love hip-hop, and isn't the whole hip-hop culture kind of centered around competing with each other and being the best rapper alive? Yes, I love hip-hop, but it's an entirely different art form from a different culture that I think, as a white kid from the UK, I can't really speak on it properly. But even then, when rappers say they're the best rappers alive, even if they're not, they're still going about doing what they're doing, creating what they're creating, because in a way, saying that you're the best rapper alive, saying that you're the best writer alive, saying that you're the best filmmaker alive, means that it's motivation for you to keep going and to prove that you're the best. But it doesn't mean you're fully in competition with people. You can still work with others, you can still form community with people. It just means that you have to believe that you're the best at what you do. And why shouldn't you do that? Your art is not a competition, and there is nothing wrong with getting better at your craft and becoming one of the best at it. There is nothing wrong with that. It's a muscle that you have to train. But the minute you start trying to compete with other artists, the minute that you start trying to compete with yourself, most of all, it can become a kind of murky area. As I said, you can try and better yourself. You can try and be the best. But if you're too hard on yourself and you're trying to better yourself all the time and you're judging it on what others are saying, on what people on social media are saying, if you're judging anybody else's art based on whether they can top themselves, it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't think that's how art should be viewed. That's not the lens that it should be viewed through. When I was in high school, we had a film studies class. I was doing GCSE film studies. I know, yeah. One of the first things that the teacher said was, if a film has a really high box office, if it's done really well at the box office, does that mean that film is good? And because we were all young, we were all like, yeah, of course it does. But then he started to be like, no, it doesn't. No, that's not what equals a good film. You could have a terrible film that's done really well at the box office. It doesn't mean that it's good. You know, people who love Zack Snyder films, I think they do a similar thing where they say, well, Man of Steel did so well at the box office, the new Superman film is nowhere near as good because it didn't do as well as the box office. But then, you know, they forget about the context and inflation and how everything works and all that. But does Drake having billions of streams on Spotify and Apple Music, does that mean that he is an incredible, heartfelt artist that has a lot to say? No, he just makes club bangers. I don't believe that art should be measured on what people think, on how much money it makes or whatever. Art should be measured on how it made you feel, what emotions that it evoked. So when I think back on that show, Dave, right? I'm not saying that Little Dicky is the best rapper ever, but his show made me feel something that no show has made me feel for a very long time. I cried at the end of season 2 because it was just, I was listening to the song You Good or We Good, can't remember what it's called, but I was listening to it on the way to the coffee shop the other day, and I got so emotional listening to it because of the context surrounding that song that was in the show, and then listening to the song really made me feel something. I think that's what art should do. I know I just slagged off Drake, but if there's a certain Drake song that evokes something in you because of a certain time in your life, or maybe the lyrics do just hit you in a way that no other does, then that's fair enough. Personally, Not a big fan. That's how art should be measured. You shouldn't measure a Drake song based on how many listens it got. That doesn't equal greatness. Anyway, that was a very short video and it started off very emotional. Very sorry about that. Now we've got 12 members in total, which is kind of ridiculous. So I'm going to read them all out here. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit them all on the screen properly. So maybe I'll black it out now, and now I'll read it. We've got Derek Arthur, Pwefu, Split Prune, Travis Baker, Mr. Toadman. First he was called Frog and Toad, but change your name, fair enough, won't dead name you. Namfam, the worst protagonist. Jack is a mimic. Timothy German Games. Emil Bartels Sorensen. Emil Bartels Sorensen. I don't know how to say that, I'm really sorry, but very cool name. Professor Scum and Wade Cohen. Thank you all so much. Genuinely, it means a lot that you've decided to become members, and it genuinely feels good that some people are going out of their way to do it, and I don't think I express how thankful I am for it enough, so thank you. Thank you for watching this very short, weird, emotional ramble of a video. Hope it hasn't put you off too much. But yeah, thank you. I'll see you on the other side.